Hey everyone, I'm Brian.
I'm Tyler.
And we're Gardener in Love.
Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. It is the weekend, so we are getting a bunch of garden chores done. We've been working so much in the landscape this year that we are way behind on our containers.
Yeah.
So we're gonna give you a little 3-for-1 today. We're doing a clump of containers planted together, and we're gonna show you 3 different container recipes, and they'll all be grouped together, and we'll give you some tips on how to plant containers when they're grouped together like this, so that they're all unique but they all speak to each other.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really good. We are so excited to plant these containers because we do it every year and it's something that we love so much, but this year it's just been so hectic and crazy that I think we're going to get some late enjoyment out of these containers and seeing them not overflowing with plants this time of year because it's super hot here already.
Yeah, and so we finally made it to the garden center to pick out all of the stuff, and it's really fun when you have an initial thought about what the theme might be, whether that be color or if you have a specific plant that you want to start with, and then it just kind of goes from there. And we were running around the greenhouse trying to find, okay, we need yellow. What else do they have in yellow? So let's show you what we got.
Yeah. All right, so you can see what the theme was this year. Obviously, we have lots and lots of yellow, but there's some unique things in here, and we'll tell you more about the plants in just a second.
All right, so here is our little container clump that we'll be planting up today. We did just put in fresh soil, and there's already drip running to these. I have 1 emitter for this little tiny one, and then 2 emitters in each of the bigger ones.
Yep.
And we're very cautious about what kind of drip we put in here because this is attached to a zone that runs for 30 minutes,
Yeah.
and we don't want to flood out the plants. And you know, drip is really just an experiment. I think it's probably different for everyone's garden, depending on your climate, your zones. So this is what works for us, and I think the plants are gonna like it. It's definitely easier to give them less water and come out here and add in the afternoon, rather than flooding them out and then they just die because they're drowning.
Yeah, last year we had a little bit different setup in here. So we had drip tubing just in a circle that had holes, I believe, every 6 inches.
I think so, yeah.
And it ended up just being a lot of water, especially at the bottom of this hill. We're sort of at a low point in our garden, and when you're at the bottom of a garden and drip is sort of at the bottom, it will continue dripping and sort of draining out even after the system is already off. So we had to be cautious of that, and so we went ahead and switched it up for this planting to make sure that we don't drown these guys out.
So let's get started. Yeah. So I'm obviously going to be putting some of our lovely slow release plant food in here, and you know we don't measure over here, so I'm just gonna shake some in each pot. And this is slow release, so it will be okay. It will release over time, and it's gonna make sure our plants always have consistent food.
Yep.
Do
you want to do the small one first?
Yes.
All right.
So small one, we're keeping it simple. We put 1 emitter in there because of the plants that we chose. So I've got 2 white super bells. And we know super bells like to dry out just a little bit in between plantings. And then I have 1 coral sun, and this one is really pretty. It's kind of got a coral outside but yellow in the middle, which is going to tie in with the rest of our yellow throughout the pots. So we might have to get up on my knees.
Get uncomfortable here.
Through this one. I have been eyeing the Coral Sun Super Bell for a few months. As soon as we saw it come out at the garden center, I told Brian, I was like, we have to have that in a pot somewhere. But we don't use Super Bells that much. We don't have a lot of containers really, which I guess is something we should change.
Yeah, I think our spaces right now that have containers they're more formal. They sort of surround our furniture in clumps and groupings, and then we sort of have...
We don't get to have as much fun with containers.
Exactly, yeah. We don't have quite as much space for containers in our garden, which we have a huge space. Well, not huge, but we have a nice space in our garden for flower beds and for great unique things. But I think containers are nice to haves, and a lot of people don't even plant containers like this. So
yeah,
their garden is the main priority. But we do love super bells. I just think we always get a little thrown off because they don't like as much water. So they are hard to pair with other plants in containers. And so the fact that we're just putting them all together in one container will probably be really helpful. And we have just that one emitter in there, so hopefully we don't drown them out, and they look great.
Yeah, and they seem to be super wet from the nursery that we got them from.
Yeah.
So hopefully they dry out, and then they'll be covered in blooms.
Yeah, they'll be really pretty. I think they'll be gorgeous.
Okay, so the rest of the other 2 pots, we kind of chose ourselves.
Yep.
So I will go ahead and do mine, and we'll leave your big boy for the end.
Sounds great.
So I will be putting in 2 foxgloves that we grew from seed. And, you know, these have been in these little containers. I mean, look how small this is, and the roots are coming out the bottom. These have been in their containers for a long time, and they are well overdue for a bigger pot. So I have one of... Oh, my God.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, that is root bound if I've ever seen it.
Yeah, they're definitely root bound. Hopefully there's not too much of a shock going into this nice,
it'll be
lush
fine.
soil.
It'll be all right.
But I think it'll be okay.
So I'm just roughing up the roots a little bit. So I have 1 Camelot cream and 1 Camelot lavender.
Ooh, pretty.
I don't know which is which. We'll see.
Yeah.
And these are foxgloves that bloom first year. So again, remember, most foxgloves are biennial. So if you grow them from seed, they probably won't bloom the first year, but these actually bloom the first year that they are up, which is really nice.
Yeah, I think the colors will also pull in really well with the different pots. The purple, obviously, but the Camelot cream is kind of a peachy color, and that'll pull into this super bells really well.
So the next one that I have is Golden Butterfly. This is a Marguerite daisy.
Yep.
And I have been eyeing these for a while, and I've seen them on other YouTube channels. I think Garden Answer has used these before, but we never see them in our area.
Yeah.
The last summer, I feel like nobody had them, and now this season, I feel like everyone has them. So I'm really excited to have this in the container.
Yeah, I believe these come in white too.
So there's a pure white, there's golden, which is this one obviously, yellow, and then there is a vanilla butterfly, which is kind of like more creamy.
Oh, I like that.
But this will eventually be like a little mound, and these you don't have to deadhead. They bury their dead, so basically they just kind of like keep going up to cover the spent blooms underneath. But I think the plant will probably perform a little bit better if you come out here and just snip off the old blooms, which is what I've been doing with the others that we have.
Yeah, not hard at all.
Okay. Next is Supertunia Royal Velvet. This is another one that we love, but we have never grown. It's like we're fans of these plants, but we just don't grow them for some reason. I don't know.
I think we're creatures of habit, and so we like the same thing.
We just go to like what we've
over.
done before, Old Faithfuls.
Yeah.
And this one is like super dark. I think it's going to be a nice little moody pop for this pot.
Yeah.
And the last one is a Bacopa called Snowstorm Giant Snowflake. So when you're planting containers, you want to think of the 3 things. Thriller, which will be our foxglove. Filler, which is going to be our daisy and our Supertunia. And Spiller, which will be the Bacopa. As you can see, it's already kind of spilling down here. So this will have little white flowers along. Wow, it's really hard to plant from the back here. This will have little white flowers along, almost like a vine. And it will be a nice little trailing piece for this pot.
Yeah, I really like Bacopa, especially this white one, because it looks like tiny little popcorn, kinda. It's white with a little yellow center. Obviously pulls in well with all the colors here, but
Yeah.
it's such a cute little plant, especially because it vines. It's got a nice foliage that's a little bit of a different texture too. So I think it'll be really nice.
And I'm just gonna go ahead and tack in this drip here. If I can get it to lay down. Okay, so I've just got some regular old landscape staples here.
Yep.
Put the drip where I want it to be. I'm gonna put this one under the Bacopa. And voila,
Perfect.
mine's all done.
All right, so before I get started, I have a tall verbena, which is obviously tall, and it's going to serve as my thriller, but right here at the back in front of me. And so I'm actually going to do that, plant that last, so that it's not just like covering my face.
Smart.
But I think what we did for all of these was Tyler picked his, and based on the things that he likes, especially that go with the foxgloves. And I kind of wanted some really unique things that really, really like had heavy contrast this year. I don't know why. I'm just in like a heavy contrast, sort of like thrilling mood. And we'll get that with the tall verbena. But we found this gold dust, which the scientific name is Mecadonia, I think. Mecardonia? We'll see. I don't know.
I don't know her.
But it has this just really sort of like fine, gold dust is why it's called that, but very fine texture with these very, very tiny, sort of sweet yellow blooms on it. And I thought this would be so perfect to serve as the spiller here. So I've got two of these that are going to go on the front. So I'll put those in now. And I don't think that they grow very vigorously either, which is kind of nice to not have to come out here. It gets so hot here. And I mean, spillers and plants that are really vigorous have a great time. They really take off. And we have to come out here and really take care of them so that they don't just grow all over the ground. And we have to...
Like Creeping Jenny, you have to like cut it back.
Yes,
you have to like give it a haircut. And
Creeping
then...
Jenny or Ipomea, sweet potato vine. It's like we have to come out here all the time and cut those back so that it just doesn't look like Medusa sort of out here with like hair everywhere and it's going crazy. So.
Honestly, this kind of looks like hair to me, the way that it's hanging.
Well, it's a really
like
fine texture too. So yeah, so pop that right there in the front and hopefully it'll sort of like mingle and bring these plants together. Okay, so the other thing that I have here, which I was really excited about, is plum dandy. So this is used as a filler. We've seen this a lot in other containers for other gardeners that we follow, and I've always loved it, but I've never really had a place for it. And so this year, because we have the tall verbena, I thought it would be really great to have this one in this mix. So I'm going to plant two of these sort of right behind the gold dust. And sort of, I'm thinking it'll probably just like fill in really nicely and be really great contrast against the foliage of the verbena, but also the purple color of the verbena too. And you can see it's already popping off of the gold dust, which is nice.
It's a really nice contrast.
Yeah, I really love that. And I've never had this before, so it'll sort of be an experiment with how to take care of it and how fast it grows.
Which is fun. Like, we should do that more often.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we're very much creatures of habit
Definitely.
in every aspect of our life, and we're trying to branch out more.
Definitely. I think it's important to branch out, especially, branch out.
Oh.
I think it's important to do that in your containers because these are all annuals. Like, this is our time to play and have fun, especially like the shopping experience every year. It can be really fun. It doesn't have to be like you're making a decision that will last forever here.
Yeah.
So the next thing that's going to serve as my spiller is Proven Accents, and this is white licorice, which helichrysum is something that we have grown before in different forms, but this one is really beautiful silver. Obviously, it's already growing quite nicely, little pigtails here. And so I'm going to plant this one right in the front.
Wow,
in between
roots.
These two, and I'm going to plant it sort of at an angle, because I'd like for it to sort of grow out on both sides and intertwine with the rest of the plants in here. So we'll pop that one right there, get it nice and snug before we pop in our verbena. So I am going to stand up here so that I can get this in. So we have tall verbena here, and verbena is something we love to grow in several different forms. We've grown it so it's like more trailing. But this is a tall version, and I've never actually grown like full-on tall verbena. And I think that this will get like 3 to 4 feet tall and really sort of go wild, and I love that. I think that would be super fun right here in this corner. I will say it's so wet here in Charlotte that this already has pretty bad powdery mildew, and so we're gonna keep on this and spray it once we plant it. It's just been hot and wet, so it's the perfect recipe for powdery mildew. I'm sure you guys deal with that in your garden, but you can put something called 7 Dust on it. That's like a white dust, or you can put probably most sprays. We use Rose RX. We've been using a lot lately that kills a lot of different bugs that we deal with, but also kills powdery mildew. So I'm gonna pop this right here at the back.
It's a big root ball.
Yeah, and I might come back here and trim it afterward so that we can clean it up a little bit.
Yeah, looks a little worse for wear.
Yeah.
Luckily, all these plants will cover up the bottom, and you'll never even know.
Exactly. It'll come back too. I think it'll be fine.
Ooh.
That's nice.
Oh, I love the like instant pop it gives.
Yeah,
the height.
It's definitely
nice.
A thriller. And like I said, hopefully it will bounce right back and put on a lot of new growth once we treat it for the powdery mildew and it's getting regular water. I think that's like such a great thing about adding drip to your containers, is not really having to worry about the water, but also making sure,
for most of the time.
Most of the time, and also making sure that your plants are consistently watered. I think the consistency is what they like most. It's when you come out and water a gallon when they're really, really dry, and then you wait a few days and they get really dry again. They don't
just
like
weakens
that.
them more and more over time.
Exactly. They like the consistency. So I think that we're good for this one. All right, so I'm just going to pop our landscape staples onto the drip in here just to hold it down. Again, it's just sort of surrounding our verbena, and it's sort of evenly placed on both sides of the container so that we get even moisture. And we should be good to go.
All right, so here is our finished container clump. You can see that we've got some sense of yellow in all 3 pots. The Super Bells have yellow in the center. We've got the yellow daisy, and then we've got the yellow gold dust.
Yeah.
And then everything else is just kind of complementing plants. We've got different layers and heights and textures. We've got silver foliage, we've got green foliage, we've got red foliage. And these are all things that you want to make sure that you have when you're planting container clumps, so that it all is cohesive, but they all have different levels of color and texture and leaf size, and it just makes for a really pleasing planting.
Yeah, I think it's really great. We're going to show you guys this as we progress through the summer. Hopefully it grows in really nicely. But for now, we hope you guys are having a great week, and be sure you like this video and subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.